Alright, welcome back to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. This is a YouTube channel dedicated to showing you advanced tactics, use of your troops and formations in Bannerlord. Today I have a really cool battle to show you with the use of a unique tactic. There's some military parlance to the term, but it's effectively designing a kill box for the enemy. First, the strategic situation here. I was being chased by two armies, and I encountered another army that strangely enough ran away. When that's the case, fight these armies in detail, which means fight them one at a time. Don't doing what I'm doing here. Turn instead and chase or attack the armies that are chasing you instead of attacking them all at once. Now I wanted to be outnumbered for the sake of this, to show you that this kill box can work even when you're outnumbered. In this case we're outnumbered a little more than 2 to 1, but that's not going to matter with our superior tactics. So I'm hoping we have the valley battlefield. Yeah, this is a nice map for this. This map is near Epicrotia, and it has this wonderful valley to fight your enemy in. It's a very narrow battlefield, but what we're planning on doing is using the right side there with our archers and nasty units, the 6th Corps and the 8th Corps, to really hem the enemy in, and then we will pin them down, surround them, and utterly destroy their vanguard. And the idea, of course, is to do that with very little loss. So you can see me arranging most of my troops on the right flank here. I will have some supporting infantry on the right, and critically the cavalry will be blockading on the ridge there. There's a narrow ridge. As long as I can get to it first, and it looks like it's going to be a little bit of a race, as long as I can get to that ridge first, I'll be able to hold the enemy up. The idea, especially against this force with so many opposition cavalry, I want to blockade them in there and then absolutely unleash hell from this ridge, right? So you can see I'm zooming in. That's the 4th, 5th, and 8th Division being put on that ridge. I'm putting the 6th Skirmishers right below them, the 3rd Cavalry to act as a block, and then the 7th Cavalry, which is a mix of archers and regular cavalry, right below them. Now on this side, the 2nd Cavalry blockades right on this ridge, and what I mean by blockade is they're in line formation, and as soon as they arrive there, I switch them into shield wall. Meanwhile, down here in the valley, we're going to pin our 1st infantry, which is our strongest, toughest infantry, at least as far as armor and shields and stuff like that. They will be set into motion as well. Hopefully nobody minds the gore. We've added a dismemberment gore to our series. I think it adds to the ambiance, right? Battle is nasty, battle is savage, and I think it's appropriate for heads to be flying, when you're swinging at it with a big two-handed axe. So right away, you can see the arrows are absolutely raining down on the enemy, right? I've got my ranged units on that ridge over there, just raining across the valley, and that 2nd Cavalry is holding up the enemy. They're trying to get around him, but they're all held up like rush hour traffic, only this is rush hour traffic with slaughter. Right? They are being hammered with arrows, and because their archers can't get over the ridge, they're having a really hard time getting a purchase point to shoot themselves. Right? Their infantry's down here. Eventually their infantry will come forward. I'll discourage as much of their infantry and archers from attacking as I can, but all my units right now are in a static position. The 2nd Cavalry is sitting basically right here, pinning the enemy in, and they're dying, right? We're losing some troops. There goes an arm. But the main purpose is basically to pin the enemy on that ridge, and that becomes the first of what are going to be 2 kill boxes. Now these infantry trickling through here are not really a problem. They can be picked off by archers, they can be picked off by skirmishers. You see the raining javelins and axes and all kinds of death flying through there. Now this infantry group though is going to be more of a problem, and for this we will enact a kill box. They're also sending archers. When this comes down, what I'm planning on doing, friends, is basically a surround and destruction 4-sided flank attack. You can see now that I've got the cavalry following me. The 1st infantry are still there, they're just static. As this infantry comes down, we're going to collapse everybody. The 1st, 6th, 8th, 2nd, and 3rd divisions will all collapse at the same time, and it will just be an absolute massacre in the middle of the battlefield. Now on top of all that, the archers are still raining death, right? You can see the screen in the upper right. It's just death for the enemy, right? It's just massive death spam. Kill this noble, down she goes. They're still held up there, right? So they're having a really hard time even getting down into the valley. So our primary kill box is still functioning very well, right? The enemy just can't seem to get off that ridge. I might not even need to enact a second kill box here. We shall see. I mean, I'm up against a very large force here. It's probable that at some point or other we're going to have to have this secondary plan move into action. More enemy reinforcements are coming up. As you can see, there's a small armada of horses that have no rider because they've all been shot off their mounts, right? Okay. Yeah, so more forces are coming in the middle here. We're going to start to pull our cavalry back. Effectively, at this stage, what we're doing is we're luring the enemy in here because we want as many of them as possible in the net when we spring our trap, right? I'm going to get up on this ridge for a little better perspective. Okay, look at all the foes down there, right? They are all bottled up. They're being shot to pieces. None of them can move. They're finally starting to gain some access on that upper ridge, and that's frankly because we let them gain access. Here come their infantry, right? Our first infantry, everybody's being patient. The first infantry is there. These are highly disciplined troops. Of course, they're not really high. They're digital pixels. I'm just telling them to stand still. You can see now I have this kill box, this zone right there where the infantry and cavalry are coming in the middle. This is where you start to close in the ring on the enemy. Now, there's not actually that many infantry in this battle. I thought there were going to be a lot more, but I think we massacred a lot just when they were coming down and trying to get through that initial wave. Now that they are down here, now that there's a lot more infantry and cavalry, what we do is essentially a simultaneous attack here, right? We're going to attack with the 1st, 6th, 8th, 2nd, and 3rd Corps all at the same time. It's kind of a blur. You probably didn't even catch all of that. And again, the idea is a complete surrounding and destruction of this army in the valley. Right at this stage, my 1st and 6th Infantry just completely blew through the enemy. Right? I mean, they just smoked them. They were already softened by archer fire. We can now actually start to move up and advance on the enemy here. So enjoyable to behead guys while they're on their horses. So we're starting to shift our archers over, right? Again, we want to maintain the high ground if at all possible. You can see they have a large archer wave here. One of the things you want to do when you see a big archer wave like that is deal with it right away. Don't let them get positioned up here where they can start raining death on your troops, right? You want the ridge, there goes your head, dude. You want the ridge, prevent the enemy from having the ridge, right? One of the other ways you can do that, of course, besides putting troops there, is just dragging cavalry behind you, right? You can see my cavalry marching through them. All I want is them to have sort of chaos here with troops in their midst. Their own cavalry are in the way. Meanwhile, across the valley behind me, my archers are raining death. You can still see the green spam from, you've got Battanian Fiends, you got expert crossbowmen over there just laying waste. Right? And we're going to lose some men. We're outnumbered 2-1. It's just an inevitability. Look, there's this huge block of cavalry I blocked up. But obviously, even though we're losing some guys, the enemy is taking it far worse. Right? This is we've been very effective so far. It was actually so effective. The first kill zone was so effective they didn't even get to my second plan, which is always nice, right? When you don't even have to enact your whole plan, the enemy just melts in front of you. So at this stage, I'm moving up my archers. They're on advance, which is F1, F4. And the reason I'm doing that is because they don't even have targets anymore, right? There's a few there's a few cavalry running around, but a lot of the enemy is actually behind this ridge, right? So I want them to aggressively move into it. The other reason I'm doing that is when you give the advance command, any archers that have decent melee skill that are out of arrows, look at these Battanian Fiend champions, they will just march into battle. The command structure for it is basically, if you say charge, they will be much more aggressive, but if you do F1, F4, which is advance, they will be shooting if they can, right? They're sort of skirmishing, and if there goes another hit, and if they don't have any arrows, they will march into melee, right? And support the infantry crews here. Being outnumbered, arms and legs flying everywhere. Being outnumbered, it's very nice to have a nasty wave of Battanian Fiend champs right behind your infantry, just wreaking havoc with their two-handed swords, right? Complete green death spam, right? This is just an utter massacre for the enemy. They're getting little kills, little waves of kills here and there, but considering they outnumbered us 2-1, this is an utter disaster for them. So we're going to try to surround and round this final little crew here. I say final little crew, we're probably still outnumbered, But at this stage, we have superior troop levels, right? You can see they have level 3 and maybe tier 4 troops. Well, we still have elite troops in the field, right? I still have the Canadian champs. I still have level 5 infantry and archers. So we're going to aggressively push in. Even though there's risk to it, we're going to aggressively push up into these archers. Unless you're going to get killed doing it. Anytime you see archers shooting, charge them. You don't want them shooting. These guys, they're another head. You know, anytime you have this opportunity, just barrel in there. Right? Okay, so now infantry. So I'm going to consolidate my troops. It's the opposite of archers, right? If you're charging with a group and there's a huge line of infantry, pull back, concentrate your forces, right? All I'm doing here is organizing my forces to attack all at the same time. And then once they're into battle, then you can feel free to roll into battle. I say it a lot. I haven't said it in a few videos, but anytime you, as the commander, right, if you're commanding the army, have to make the choice because there's a lot going on between fighting and commanding. Let me just do some archery damage here. Also, the other thing you're noticing, just a side point, is anytime you attack archers, they pull out their weapons, they try to attack you. A lot of times they'll chase you too, right? So that suddenly they're chasing you, and what they're not doing then is they're not shooting at your troops, right? Their archers do good, the arrows do good damage, they're interrupting you, they're hitting safely at range. But if you can interrupt them, even if they're just chasing you, right? These guys are futilely chasing me here. Look at them all. Getting mown to pieces. What they're not doing is they're not shooting at your army, right? But finishing off that point, beheaded. Anytime that you have to choose, because there's so much going on between commanding and fighting, always command. Pick up a shield, back off a little bit, and make that conscious choice to command. Because unless your troops are in the correct formation, you fighting is a detriment to the army, right? You're essentially neglecting your duties. And that was a lot faster than I expected. That army just disintegrated on that ridge. This was a lot of beheadings in this video. This was, I don't know, maybe an 8-minute massacre of 2,000 troops. But again, holding them up in position while our archers rain death, and then enacting a kill box on their concentrated vanguard force. You can see how effective this is. So I'm going to probably try it and look for a couple other demonstrations of the kill box. This was frankly not as difficult, not difficult enough for me to truly show the ultimate capacity of this tactic. It's a really awesome tactic. The timing of it is critical. Damn, we lost another noble. I think that's a cousin. Anyways, the timing of it is critical. But you can see, if you pull it off, it's devastatingly effective. Look at the death. We killed 2,000 of their troops and lost a couple hundred. Right? This is the very definition of a massacre, of a tactically decisive victory. In the campaign that I'm playing, of course, that's essential. Look at all this carnage. And this is the kill box, right? These guys were victims of the kill box, right? I'm running through here to kind of show you that they all basically died on the same knoll, down in that valley where they were all trapped, and on this knoll here when the cavalry trapped them. So my campaign is intentionally very difficult. We'll have more scenarios in the future to show you effective kill boxes. If you have any questions or comments, by all means, please ask. And as usual, please subscribe, like, all that kind of fun stuff. It really helps the channel. Thanks for watching.